to talk about the student voice, so your voice. The topic is going to be the Rethinking Architectural Education in Europe. And it's not going to be typical presentation because we are going to do a lot of stops and you will talk because that's your voice. You are the student. And I really want to know your opinion and it's all about you. So I'm going to pass you the microphone if you will make the announcement. So let's say that's how I'm going to work with this. So, about the presentation itself, I created the survey and it was sent to several universities in the whole Europe, and not only because there was also Georgia, for example. But for now, as in RIBA Europe, we, for example, still have Georgia with ourselves, so we treat them as Europe, also like Turkey. So the survey and the presentation is about the European students, how they think, what they expect, if they are satisfied, if they don't regret it, like they are making the architecture studies. Because as we know, the world today is changing very, very quickly. And the question is already like if we are teaching and if the students are learning the things they should, and if they are satisfied and if they are prepared for their future work. Because as we know, we are going to be an architect, but not only, we are going to go through it. And also another big question is like what brings the future? Because now it's like in kaleidoscope, like everything is changing every single day. So let's check like about the results. So the very first question was the like if is your university RIBA validated? The survey was online for only 5 days and there was also a holiday during that time. So we got the 58 responses, which let's say we like have a shot, like the test of the trends, how it's going to be all around the Europe. So I decided to split it for yes, no, and under no answer. And as you can see, the biggest one is yes, like students knew they are validated. But the second biggest part is I don't know. They could Google, but they didn't know, and that's also right. So I just grouped that with the answer no. So that's why you will see in the next graphics, like the schedule is like very contrast about how it's going. So with the validated university, the 61% was from the bachelor, so the majority, and 38% was from the master studies. And about not validated universities, we've got the symbolism, the PhD. So we are not really going to analyze those answers, but it's let's say like half-half about the bachelor and the master itself. So all of the students are very active. I would say maybe bachelor a bit more. We will see that in the answers when they which they gave on the open questions, but I will let you to explore it. So what countries do we have? From the validated on your right, we got Poland, which is majority. I mean, like it was way easier to catch the students on the corridor and say like, "Hi, did you fill up the survey?" So that's why the majority is. Then we got the second biggest part is from Georgia, which is surprising, but it's very nice. And we also got the Spain, Denmark, France, of course. Some of you maybe filled up the survey. If not, you will do during the presentation, so no worries. It's not going to skip you. And Ireland. With non-validated, it's well more diverse, I have to say. I think you can see, like we have the three countries for 22.2%, and it's Poland, Germany, and Italy. I have to say, like Germans have this thing, like I sent it to my friends and they immediately fill it up. Like the Germans are very like strict. Also, like a fun fact, the funny story, like when I made my study in Politecnico di Milano, the professor told us to use the based colors to paint our project. And there was one German guy who asked if he's talking about black, white, and gray. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I could make the whole new survey with those people. That's really cool. For non-validated countries, we got Poland, Serbia. I didn't send it to Serbia, but the people are spreading it to each other, and that's really cool because the network is working. From Sweden, Czech Republic, France, Germany, Italy, and Netherlands. My friends from Delft also fill it up. So that's how it's going to be. That's how it looks. Well, I would say I'm pretty satisfied because we have the very different point of view, and we are going to talk about very different point of view, how it's going all around Europe. So the next question was like, do you feel your architectural education prepares you for the real world practice? I split it for the validated and not validated university. We're going to keep it like on the right, it's going to be validated, and left not validated, but also to show you the difference, or maybe not difference at this part about the bachelor and master. How do the students think on those like paths, if their think is like if their thinking is changing or not. So as we can see, it's not so in all of the stages, like in the master and bachelor, in validated and not validated. I would say maybe in validated it's slightly better because there's more force, I have to say, but it's still like not very satisfying for the student, I would say. What is interesting in not validated, but remember there are also the people who don't know if they're validated or not. As you can see in the bachelor, they're not sure. And in master, it's rather very good or very bad. Like there's nothing very between. They're rather very satisfied or like not satisfied. So that's interesting. Like we would have to like go deeper with the country, like how it's going on. Because as we know, in every single country in Europe, the education looks sometimes slightly different, sometimes very different. As it also, what I would be able to say here, like maybe we could see like the master students are more, maybe not confident, but they are maybe more sure about this. But the next question, like connected with that, is like, if do you think it should, like if you think like the school should prepare you for the work, because that's about the education, not about the practice. From the other side, maybe somebody thinks like this. So from the bachelors, there is some voices like they are not sure if the university should learn them or teach them like how to work in the architecture. The masters were more like clear, the yes or no, but it's still like majority of the students expect like the universities will teach them how to provide their own job, like how they are going to work. And now it's a question for you, like what is your opinion if you think like the study is supposed to prepare you for the future work, or it's only for discovering, like opening your mind and so on and on? Or you have to ask the question, if not I will pick somebody. Of course, I'm joking.
Say opening your mind. Yeah, I would say opening your mind. I don't know, because the practice, it limits you when you're in the real world. It limits you for your creativity, and at school you don't have a limit to do that. So yeah, I feel like the education should be more creative, and the real world is going to be more technical in a way. Yeah. Who's next?
And then there's also a lot of real world technical issues that could never be recreated in a studio environment. So, dealing with contractors, dealing with clients, all that stuff is purely education that you get on the job with experience over many, many years. But then, sort of piggybacking off of what Miguel said, it's like you're in school just to exercise your creative muscles, and sure, the real world is a lot more technical, but then if your creative muscles are buff enough, then you sort of learn how to balance the technical realities alongside your conceptual needs.
I agree with what they said. However, there are some universities that require you to do an internship for you to be able to graduate. And mostly, and this is found in bachelors, and I think this is very important because, yes, your creative juices can flow and you will learn how to do things. But as Adam said, you'll never learn how to deal with a contractor in school. So if the school pushes you to go to work, do an internship, then I think that's a very, very helpful and a big plus to get you into the world.
Thank you so much. And I would have to say, like, in my private opinion, not RIBA state, like in my private opinion, I agree with you. Like, for me, it shouldn't, because school is for theory and the practice we are going to learn in an offices. And for example, in my country, in Poland, in the bachelor, we have the whole semester we have to do internship in office, and it's before the graduation project. Because in Poland we are way more strict. Like we have the full 4 year of bachelor, so that's a fun fact. And when we graduate, we have the title of an engineer of architecture. We do a lot of calculations and so on. So we are making the final project. Like we are not making thesis, but the project as itself, it have to be very technical. We are doing it after the practice, and we learn a lot during the work in office. So I was surprised when I discovered like it's not working, not even in majority, only a few countries are working like this. When they have we will see that also like in the survey after, they are not like developing the opportunity for the students to deal with the internships. Like they are making only theory and then they're like pushed to the deep water. But as you can see, we are not in majority. Most of the students expect to learn how to work. So then there will be like another discussion, like should we prove them wrong or should we create the environment for the majority of the people? Because that's the big majority. It's almost 90% of the bachelors. It's a lot. So maybe we should like deal somehow with it, like push it for them because that's what they want and it's for they, it's system for people, not people for system. All right, going forward. That's very interesting. Like there was the question like, which of the following areas do you think are the most missing in your education? And everywhere, validated, not validated, bachelor and master, the top 3 is same. It's project management and the real work. It's also business and finances for architects and communication with clients everywhere. So what does it mean? We are not learning them, and it's like this 90%. They expect to be teach like how to work, and they see like it's missing. So it's still repeating. So they are following by their minds, like they are like keeping it everywhere. Like literally, you can see everywhere. There's even 93% of not validated masters says the project management and real work, like it's not working on their own university. That's a lot. But from the other hand, if we will see for the lowest mark, so it means like what do we develop the most in the universities, of course, because if they don't see the lack of it, it means there's a lot. And there's again mostly everywhere the sustainability environment. Everyone says like there's a lot of those. The group collaboration and the individual work. That's also like the most top 3. Also there's like the social and ethical dimension. So it means like the general topics they are like, in every single conference, in television, every single paper and so on and on about sustainability, inclusivity, so on. We got this at university, we developed it well. And that's good, because we should. But from the other hand, if we know that work, maybe we should put, for now, our action for something else, for this what is missing, and majority want, as we said before. And as we can see here, the answers are not very going out of each other. Maybe somebody would like to say, what do you miss from those elements you can see? Like we have the group collaboration, individual, critical theory and reflection, the construction, technical knowledge, digital tools, AI, and so on and on. Maybe some of you would like to say like what they are missing the most in your classes.
I could also leave the room if that was.
Oh, somebody?
And we could offer. It did say student voices though.
I'm sorry.
At any point, what we think. We're very happy to participate.
I mean, of course, like if you would like to add something, you're welcome.
I'm interested to hear, because this is a. I think we should hear from students. You should pick someone.
I should pick someone? Oh my goodness. No, like I don't want to like push like, but really, no, like if some of you would like to add like what they are missing in their classes, it don't have to be really like from the map here, but if you have like the feeling inside of you like you're missing something and you would really love to develop that during the classes, lectures, so on, workshops, like maybe you sign up for some workshops because you feel like it's missing in your classes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little biased because I don't have an architecture undergrad, but I think I am weaker on technical skills and software. So I would like to see like a workshop that's directly related to whichever software everyone is in consensus about being like the most relevant. But I will say in general, and even from my undergrad was more like liberal arts, I think in general, non-business majors don't do like so well in teaching communication with clients and stakeholders and even like your fellow peers in the workplace. Yeah, that's my answer. I don't think that about here. Just the technical skills one.
Somebody else?
Can I? Yes. So for me, like in a practical way, for an architecture student, I think like construction and technical knowledge is the thing that we should learn, and somehow that we miss a lot in our education. Because like for me, like in the practice, maybe like communication with client, business, finance, or something like that, they have like very specific people to do this. Maybe just like some kind of people just only communicate with the client. And yeah, most of the time that we spend is like the meeting for the different discipline, like mostly engineer somehow. And yeah, I think like construction and technical knowledge is somehow like what we should have.
I just want to add something on Koi's idea. It's also construction and technical knowledge, but not the basics, the new construction and technical knowledge that we're having in this real world. Because I think everyone like knows the technical knowledge in their bachelor's degree and also in their master's, but it's the basics and what's happening now, the new stuff that we want to know more, or how it works. Yeah, that's it.
I also wanted to run off of Koi's what was he saying is that not just construction and management but risk management of there's bound for something to go wrong on site. There's always something going wrong on site. So just learning how to deal with that, and not just lose a lot of money and then your client loses a lot of money and then it's not good for everyone. So yeah.
Thank you. And that's very interesting because, for example, from my point of view from Krakow, I would say I have not enough artistic ways. Even though in every single semester we have hand drawing, painting, and sculpture. We have it during the whole bachelor and master. And still, I feel like we are missing the artistic point of view because we have to calculate a lot. And it was kind of tricky, is a fun fact, like to say. It was, I think, the second year of my bachelor. For the first semester of second year, they told us like we're going to make the project of the single family house, like use your imagination and so on. For the next semester, they told us to calculate it. All of the house. So when somebody made like, the pyramid staying only on the top, like upside down, then there was no project like that to the end of the study because they knew they would have to calculate it somehow. So that's also the thing. But there was also the topic about the workshops. Please raise your hand. Does any of you sign up for any like additional workshops? Like, did you like learn something else from the school, like to grow up your skills?
Like something not from the school?
Yeah, like something not from the school. Like, for example, any like digital, the new form and so on. Not really. That's crazy because, for example, in Poland, all of the people like raise their hands.
On YouTube usually.
Yeah.
On YouTube, but it's also something because it means like it would be actually the last sentence, but education is like supposed to like push you to do it by yourself because nobody's going to live your own life. You have to deal with that. So you have to dig in the knowledge if you want to get it because school will not let learn you all. All right. Let's move forward. So I was surprised. I have to say, like How often do you collaborate with students from the other disciplines, like engineering, design, and so on? Anybody. Anybody. Doesn't matter. Validated, not validated. If the bachelor, master. No, in some of the masters we see, somebody put 5. There was like one person. But there's also like the validated, there's this, I don't know. So it's mixed, but there is hope. We have to say, like, there is hope for something like this. But most of the students are not collaborating at all. And I think the collaboration is important because that's how architects works, for example, in the office. Like, you're not going to calculate the skyscraper from the ground to the top. Sometimes you do only the facade and somebody else have to do the garden. You're not able to do everything and so on. And we are missing this. So now I will ask you, like, if you do some collaboration, and if not, if you have some additional projects like outstanding, you can do. For example, in my example, in Poland you have the section Future Lab. It's like the projects like out of the facility, let's say, like out of the topic like architecture, and you can match the people from whatever part of the university you want. You can have design engineers, you can have people from the landscaping, like from the chemistry and so on, and they are making some, like, let's say, over top projects. That's so interesting. Do you have something like this? Like, did you participate in anything like that? Not really. Why? You don't have those opportunities, or it just yeah.
So I was taught in the States and I went to ASU, and a lot of the design students actually talked to the professors a bunch about why we don't do interdisciplinary assignments, because we understood that, okay, the second we graduate, we're going to be working with engineers, we're going to be working with other people, but we don't really understand like what their thought process is and how they do things. So it was something that we actively like tried to encourage schools to do in our institution, but the professors said that they didn't want to focus on that. They wanted to focus on the craft of design and architecture only. So it was interesting. It was pushback from the educators, but it was the students pushing to get it. Yeah.
Somebody else would like to add something? Yeah, behind you.
So for my undergrad, I was in Savannah, Georgia, and I was attending the Savannah College of Art Design. And although this wasn't necessarily a part of my program, it was something that students could, attend. And it was called SCAD Pro, and anyone from any of the majors could participate in it. And usually it was a company that was coming in, and you, as students, had to help them with some sort of design challenge. And so that was really the sole opportunity I had to collaborate with students from lots of different majors. And I think it was a really great experience because there was no other way I would have ever worked with somebody from animation or filmmaking or whatever the area was that they were specializing in. But it was really helpful for me because it, I think, helped with my communication, because everyone's coming from different backgrounds, and figuring out how to communicate with them, I think, is a helpful tool as far as also just like thinking about working with clients and how you communicate with people who might not come from the same design background as you do, and also just gaining like different perspective and inspiration. So yeah, I don't know. It was a good experience overall.
Can I? So maybe I can share a bit about like my bachelor education a bit, because like I did my bachelor in Denmark, and I think like there was a model that I really liked. Like all of the school in the same city, they just organize a competition for all of the students, and we have like architecture student from architecture school, engineering school, and a sustainable school or something like that. And they don't care, like they just combine all of the students in the team, and they create like 10 teams or something like that. And we did a competition together. Like the competition is like I don't know, like they need to provide like architectural design, engineering calculation or something like that. And I think such experience like this is quite valuable, because like they don't care like, okay, how you organize your team, and you have to like how to do teamwork together, who is the leader and something like that, just to carry the project like until the submission, by the way. And I think like all of the school like kind of have a kind of model like this to teach a student how to work with all the discipline. Because like for my bachelor, I need to pass this project to move on to the next year. So it's like a kind of requirement. Anyone?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, getting out of the box. I think that's very important because, of course, we are not going to possess all of the knowledge in the world. That's impossible, absolutely. But we cannot be from the other universe. Like, we have to somehow at least get to know like what they're looking at, like what they're looking for. Like, for example, if they need more storage space in our building and so on, because then it's problematic. So students are missing it. And I think that's something like what we could like pushed forward, like because it is important. And also like I hear you made a lot of part of the studies or the studies abroad, and I think that's so cool and that's beautiful. And I think like all, maybe not all, but most of the architects and the students supposed to do this, like to try something else, go abroad, like see how the other nation is thinking, how the people are thinking, like what they are good at and so on and on. So that's very important, and I'm so happy you do this because I think that's really, really clear and important. All right, we have also 3 open questions. I selected it for the bachelor and master. I didn't split it for the validated, not validated, because I don't think like that would be crucial. So there was a question: what would you change in architectural education if you could? And for the bachelor, I selected some of the answers. I picked those topics which were repeat the most of the time. So, and then just pick like, in my opinion, like the best opinion we get. So, for example, the first one would be somebody would like to read and comment at the same time. If not, I would just go through. All right, I will not stress you that much. Okay. All right, so for the first time, I would love to have more practice on construction side. It's so sad that we have to learn about all construction things, but we cannot see this in real life. Also, I think that uni don't give us a chance to know how normally buildings are built, and then how to get permit, how much responsibility is on architects, how to speak with client and all of this stuff. So it's again like repeating this what we saw before. And like I said, it's also very crucial like for the different countries and also even schools, because like we said, they are teaching in the different ways. So also we have the some of the classes are too individual, and you saw like there was like the mark on the individual group was so low in both. So it means like some of the universities has it probably mostly in the groups and some mostly individual. For example, in my university, the whole bachelor was individual. I was missing the group work, and my master is only in group, so now I'm missing individual work. So something for something. From experience, sometimes it's easier to learn from mistakes of others. I think it's very good to listen somebody else corrects if you go to the professor, because sometimes you have exactly same mistake and it's like repeating from every single group. So it's really cool, and our professors was always like cheering us up, like if they are making corrects to one of the students, please all sit around and listen. Because when we started to do this, in half of the year, nobody else wanted to have correction, not because there was too scared, so on. They had exact same problems. So they exactly know how to make it. So we saved more time, not only the tutors, but also ours. And we could like work on it, so on and on. And also we're like, feeling the connection with others, like we all have same problems. The group shouldn't be too big. That was also problematic. Let's say there was a lot of opinion from students from bachelor and master, like it's too many architecture students. And from different problematic sphere, I would say. Some of them said like the professors, the tutors are not able to put as many time as they would like for them, like to teach them and so on. The other one says like it's problematic like when you finish the university, because if you have like the sea of the students, then it's problematic with the salaries and so on. There was also like for the next one, we will see that. There was also like problem about the rethinking the bulk of material that the students have to learn, because it's a lot at uni and at home, like to deal with that. And yet somehow it's still missing some key parts that we use at work. that's also like, do you feel sometimes like you're like overstimulated and overworked, like it's too much? Because I have it many times, I have to say. Also, I can see that. And also, some of you said before, like they should teach about the technical things, also the newest part, and we are learning still the old part.
Yes.
Yeah, that was also my point at the bachelor. But if we would see from the other side, as the previous RIBA president says, the 80% of the building which are going to exist in 2050 are already built. We are not going to destroy everything and build all of new. We have to know how it was made, because most of us probably will work on the renovation, not new construction. So we have to learn about all of this old stuff, because how are you going to renovate it when you don't know what's going on with the building? So that's also problematic, because technology is going forward and forward, so we get more and more things to stuff. So that's problematic, but that's also critical, like, because I was also like, oh, I have to learn about, like, my first exam from construction was about the foundations made in like 19th century with the material I heard for the first time when I read my paper on the exam. But it was like, why? Like, what's the point of that? And that's exactly the point. Like, we are going to make renovations, especially we have to be ecological, reuse, and so on and on. So we have to get the knowledge to do not make the building collapse and so on. All right, let's move for the masters. Less students. I wonder why. Like, what's like exactly the problem? Like in the like feelings. Like, if that's because of the future salary and too many people and so on and on, or it's just because like the professors are not putting enough focus. So I know. Like, there's also like, I would like to design in my taste, not the professors. And I have to say, there was a lot of answers like that. Some of them was like very long. I picked the shortest one to show the clue, but I had to put it here because it was too many times repeated for me to ignore it. And I spoke with some of the professors, because I also had some feelings like that with some of those, like for example in Milano, like we were not like designing in our taste, but in the taste of the professor, something like this. And I was like talking with them like, why it's going like this? And they say like, that's very simple. We are going to work with a client. We have to design what they want, not what we want, because we work for them. So as I was mad at the beginning, like, I cannot do, I don't know, the crazy thing, like pyramids and made of glass, everything what I want. I have to do what the professor like strict me to do with the materials which he want to use and do. Then I started to understand, because that's the challenge. If you have no limits, there's no challenge. You can do whatever you want. But you have somebody you have to satisfy with your work, and that's going to be your work in the future. Now it's changing, and you have to start to think, and then you are creative. How to make both of you satisfy, you and him. And that's the thing, actually. That's why I decided to put it here. All right. For the next question, it was, and the bachelor students were more likely to answer very big answers for the open questions, I have to say. The masters was, I think, they studied too much, and they was like, I just want to give an answer. So, how do you see the role of architects in future? And I love this comment. I put it, hopefully not replaced by AI. So there is hope, there is fear. It's 21st century in one sentence. Like, I have to say, there was the big debate for the answers for the students from the both sides. Because some of them was like very scared about AI if they replace them and what they are going to do. Like, they don't know if they regret like to choosing the studies. Oh my gosh, I waste my time because I'm going to be replaced by the computer. And the very contrast was the second side, which was, we will never be replaced by AI, because it's about the human touch and feeling, and the machine is going to replace the printing, not creating. So that's also interesting. Maybe after that, like, we will talk, like, I don't know, in a circle. Like, how do you feel about AI? But there was also like some, for example, here we have like very limited, only for the elites, only the best will succeed. But there was also like through all of the answers, I start to recognize like, if I can say, two majority type of students. Some of those want to just to know how to work in office, and they just want to go with that. I want to have work. I want to know how to make it done. I want to learn it, and that's okay. That's all what I know. And that's okay. That's so cool. But to the contrast from the other side, there are the people who want to do everything what is crazy. They are the artists. They don't want to calculate anything. They want to learn about any construction, only art, only painting, only like to know, go with the flow. And that's also so cool. But that's very different perspective, and it's literally the one uni in the one classes at both people, and it's one university, and they have to teach both, and they have to satisfy both, and both of the rules are very crucial, and we need both in offices and as an architects, because we cannot be all artists, because nothing's gonna stay, and we cannot all be technicals, because then why we have architects? The engineers, they will make the cube made of concrete, done. We don't need any human touch with that. So that's also interesting. There was also some voices like, I think that we as architects need to take a step back, pre-modernism era, and focus on specific cultural and heritage features for buildings in certain places. And I agree with that. And that's something what has already happened. Because we started to, we are the students, but some of the people who are already architects, they started in, not only my opinion, but also some of the students, they started to produce architecture, not design. You look at the picture of the building and it could stay everywhere. You have no idea. But if you see the city, the picture of the old town, you know exactly which country, which region, so on and on. So we are missing the point, and now it's getting back. Sometimes the good taste, sometimes the bad taste, because sometimes this what I like the most is like blended, because we cannot live in Middle Age again. We have to go with the growing technology, but like the mixed with the newest and the culture thing. And sometimes it's pastiche and like copy, and they like try to make 15th century building. No, it's not 15th century, it's 21st. Like we have to go forward. But that's also interesting, like we start to disagree also on those things. For the masters, it will be great once all the wars have ended. And I found this like very strong message, to be honest, because architects want to make the people's lives better. And that's something we have to take the responsibility, because we are creating the environment, and we are creating the place when people are going to live, work, will be satisfied or not. It's our opportunity, is like our, let's say, destiny, is like it's on us. Like we have to like deal with it. For example, we have not very optimistic but necessary but poorly paid, considering the responsibility it carries. And that's also the question, like maybe that was connected with too many students, because there was also a lot of voices like that. Maybe that's because when, for example, at my university, in each year we have 250 students. That's a lot. That's huge. And it's not the only one university on my city. What about the country? 40 million Polish people. It's a lot. And the spectrum of the students, every single student you would think about, we have it in our school. And I think that's beautiful, to be honest, because you have all of the perspective and so on and on. But it's a lot. It's really a lot. And sometimes it's problematic, because if you want to get a job, they offered you very low salary. You don't want to agree, and then say like, yeah, but there's 500 of you in your year, so if you don't want, I will take somebody else. Sometimes it started to work like this. But also, there was also some voices like, I finished I don't know if it's here, but there was also the one message I put it, I finished the Bachelor of Architecture and now I'm doing design or something. That's also cool. Because if you finish architecture school, it doesn't mean you have to be an architect. You can be in design, you can be an artist, you can help with many other things, you can make digitals and so on. It's not like necessary, it's a very wide spectrum because architecture is everywhere. Drawing is architecture, this table is architecture, like your mind is architecture, all of that is architecture. So if you studied architecture and don't want to be an architect, you didn't fail, you still succeed. It's just different, and different doesn't mean worst. In my opinion, in many of opinions. The last question I was the most excited about. If you have any thoughts of experiences you'd like to share about studying architecture today, it's too expensive. And I think I would agree. Even though in my country, university is for free, we don't pay any fee for that because that's in our constitution. Education have to be free for the citizens. But even though the printings we have to do, the corrects and so on, it's huge amount. The models, it's freaking expensive. And what is even further, rent. Not everybody live in a huge city with a university. They have to move to the city to study. And that's also cost of that. Especially now when we have house crisis. And renting a room in my city now is the price 5 years ago I would pay for the whole flat. It's 5 years and it's 300 more like percent. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And in Poland we have the problem, I can say because I spoke to people, they put the resignation of their dream study because they cannot handle live in Warsaw and Krakow because it's too expensive. That's also a problem. And a huge problem. There was before, you saw, only for elite. We started to split it, unfortunately, and we have to do somehow with that. But how? And can we do something about this? It's not easy, but a journey like no other. And I think all of you would agree. All of, like, you know, the night you didn't sleep with finishing product, but then the satisfaction when you get this, it's worth all of that. There's also like very nice sentence. We should work together more instead of competing with each other. And I think that's also very crucial. I don't really know how it works in the small groups, but in big universities, you can see that very much because you have a lot of people, a lot, especially when you have a lot of studios during the 1 year and there's some professors who's like top of the top and everybody wants to go there. It's like the rat race. You can imagine what's going on. But we are all architects and we have to learn with each other. We are going to cooperate in the future if we want it or not. We are one society. The global society, European society, the bigger one society, like the architecture is everywhere. If you're studying Paris, maybe in the 5 years you're going to be in Hong Kong or New Zealand, or you don't know. But it's all for us. The master at this time had the long answers. For example, it's very isolated study environment, while the professions particularly deal with a lot of public intentions and people from various fields. That was the voice. I saw a lot of answers like this, like, we have that much things to learn and that stuff to do. We are only like doing the project for the project and we have to like finish that and so on, and we should work with people. Because, for example, if we are going to design, I don't know, the park or the public space building and so on, we have to talk with the people and we have to, you know, make the survey, like to ask them and so on to deal with that. And also, like, I hear from a lot of students, like, they are missing that point. Sorry, not missing the point, but like, they are feeling like the university is missing that point. That's what I wanted to say. Like, they want to have this. But from the other hand, when I spoke with the professors, they say, like, okay, I understand. But if they will not know what is the foundation, how they want to deal with that, with the people, they have to have the basics. Somehow. We have to learn this. Of course, there are some technical high schools. For example, I went to one. So I learned and calculated all of the foundations, constructions, so on and on. So for me, it was easier. But not all of the architecture students knew at the very young age they want to be an architect, and there's nothing wrong about this. It's very nice, like they want to try something new and so on, but they still should have the opportunity to learn all of the basic stuff, and that's why the university is. So then we have somebody who are like missing the stuff and somebody who say like it's not enough again, and they are all the people in one uni. Right, so I would like to make the talk with you. What are we going to do about this? How we can act? And if you would like to answer for one of the 3 open questions, like do you have any thoughts you want to share with us? Or how do you think the architecture will look in the near future, on the far future? Or something else you would like to say? I make you tired too much, isn't it? All right. So, I think for the last sentence, I would say like education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And that's by William Butler Yeats. He was Irish. And I would like you to remember this. Like it's supposed to be the fire in your heart, and you're supposed to like spread it and push it. It's not something which is supposed to be done. It's never-ending story. You will learn your whole life and just like keep shining and so on. And thank you so much for the attention and the talk. And yeah, thank you.
A couple of questions to sort of thank you very much to provoke our audience. Maybe thank you very much for your talk to start with. You touched on such a wide range of issues that architectural education is reflecting on at the moment. There are a number of kind of course redesigns going on, particularly in the UK system. I have a question to the room, actually, which comes out of the things that you were discussing. The first of which is, do you think architects, and I'm kind of expecting an answer, by the way, from all of you, do you think architects should be taught to specialise during their master's degrees or their bachelor's degrees? And this comes from the question about there are architects that design, there are architects that deal with planning, there are architects who deal with technical resolution. Do you think that we should be more like the medical profession and actually decide what we want to do in our careers or not?
That's a good question, actually.
I don't think we should be taught in schools to specialize, but at the same time, especially at a master's level, the student should know what their own interests lie. So, for example, for us, look at where we are. I don't envision that we're going to be the most like we're not going to know all the software. We're not going to know all the codes. It's, we are spending so much time researching and actually putting together really robust concepts. And especially at a master's level, if that isn't your interest, you should look at specific programs that cater to that. There's hundreds and hundreds of programs that would make AutoCAD computer monkeys and give them degrees. So
do you think there's a hierarchy there?
Absolutely not. I mean, so similar to what was mentioned earlier. I mean, without design, it's just going to be engineers putting us in concrete boxes. So it really is like a balancing act. And so again, especially at the master's level, it should be really something innate or a decision that needs to be made before applying even.
Mm-hmm. That's also true.
Am I passing this?
You can go.
You can go.
Oh, I'm going?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was passing this to somebody.
I think just because you had one.
Oh gosh. Okay, sure. I guess I'll go. Oh goodness. Okay, well, I guess I do come from a slightly different background. My background was in preservation design, and I would say that is a bit more specialized as far as the building arts goes. So I kind of come at it from like that background. But I don't think it prevented me from, I guess, like feeling like I was boxed in because I still was able to gain experience working at a big firm. And I was able to kind of get a taste of interior design, architecture, preservation. So I guess to go back to Henry's question, whether it should be we specialize, I don't know. I don't like to be boxed in, despite me having done preservation. I know that sounds kind of funny. But I think the overarching title, when I had gone into it, felt like there were so many different options. And I think, especially getting your bachelor's degree, a lot of times, at least even talking to people who are in the field of interiors, architecture, or design as a whole, so many of them come into it with a completely different background, not even in design. I've talked to people who are like mathematicians and so I think to, I don't know, like have you specialize, I don't know, I don't necessarily think I agree with that because people come at it from so many different areas and I don't think it's wrong if you want to do that, but I think at least for your bachelor's degree, it feels almost like a little too early to like choose one specific area of architecture before you've even really experienced any of it to begin with. Unless you're really, really certain and you have more, I guess, experience. Maybe you've been introduced to it at a younger age, but I certainly did not have the confidence or knowledge to be able to go into it with certainty. And even for a master's degree, I like Adam was saying, I think to a certain extent it is important to know, but I still kind of like the idea of having it be a bit more open and not narrowing or limiting your options. Anyone else? No? Okay.
All of you can say something that we so cool, like you want to Too much. I lock myself in here.
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Should I go?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm going. I come from an environmental design background that is specialized in interior design. And I remember the first question I asked Henry in the first email I sent to the school is, can I apply for a Master of Architecture with the background of environmental design? Because in reality, I did not know. And in the country that I was studying, which is an Eastern European country, I couldn't have applied. I needed an undergrad of architecture to apply to any Masters of Architecture. And I think this really answers the question of, do you think, that we should specialize during our studies? And I think there's very scarce knowledge about architecture in the general fact that an architect can basically do almost everything. You can be a game designer, you can go into anything. And when I was studying environmental design, that wasn't taught to us. It was taught that, no, if you want to be an architect, you should go to the Technical Architectural School. And that's the only way you'll become an architect. Yeah, so I just like Catherine said, is that how are we supposed to specialize when we don't even know what we're doing yet? And yeah.
Can I come back on that? Because
Here you go.
I think this is the funniest microphone. Sorry. I mean, one of the reasons that I'd like to come back on it is because this is what I spend all of my time doing, right? Thinking about how to structure an architecture course. And in the current environment that we're in, where this is a UK School of Architecture, the ARB is deleting the need for Part 1, so the bachelor's degree. It is now going to become more and more common that people from so-called alternative backgrounds are entering the profession in the master's degree directly. for me, that then poses an interesting question that, again, I'd like to put to you guys. If you look at the slide that's in front of you now, that indicates that project management, sustainability, communication, etc., are at the top of the requests for what you should be being delivered in a master's degree. Given that already today you can enter a master's program with leading to ARB Part 2 without a bachelor's in architecture, that's too loaded. For people designing courses in architecture at the master's level, given that you do not need a bachelor's degree in architecture, what should we be doing in that 2 or 3 years has become the question for every school of architecture, I think. The way that we dealt with this is by having a foundation course, but this is actually going to have to pick up all of this stuff. So the foundation course will be, can you do a drawing? Can you make a model? Do you understand procurement? Do you understand insurance? Do you understand the role of the architect? Because I haven't heard yet from students of a master's program, we actually don't want to do the philosophy part. We don't want to do the fine art part. We don't want to do the part where we think creatively. So I would be interested to know your view on the future of the profession and the way that we teach architects, given that the 6-year route to registration is kind of gone now. And as you see in this room, we have people with various bachelor's degrees. And I'm going to maybe unfairly choose someone. I think it might be Mariana.
So I come from environmental design background as well. My bachelor's, that was the school. And then under environmental design, we had product design, landscape design, architecture. Did I say product design? And then they also added like space design. So like we included all of these things as environmental design, and we all collaborated together, and it was like required that you take several different classes within this one school. So I think like you kind of gain this knowledge of various different areas, and you implement each one of those throughout what you do. So like whether you do product design, like you're including all of these things that you've learned from landscape design, from architecture, like the technical, the beauty, the environmental aspects. There was a point that I think it really all like what a designer is. Like we create the entire world that we live in. So like our imagination is the key to everything, essentially. Like what we think of becomes real. And so we have to like really be precious. Like we have to use this very preciously. Like we can't, like we have to be very empathetic. We have to really think of humanity. I think there's a lot to learn from history. Like nothing is really created. Like we're just kind of discovering what's already been done. So I think to look at history and to kind of like pull out certain aspects as we move forward throughout design is like the best way to move forward. And this doesn't necessarily mean like repeating, because there's always like innovation to be done. But I think when we like collaborate, listen to others, and kind of become like just this one big melting pot, that's whenever the most like beautiful ideas emerge. So I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question at all, Henry, but
Well, would you do a master's degree that was just about building regulations and project management?
No.
Most people shaking their heads, just for the record.
No.
I say this partly because again, this is challenging for me because I have a lot to say on the subject, but it's supposed to be about students, right? So my apologies to everyone. We have a course called Future Practice where we take students through appointments, legal framework, fees, the planning process, technical design, following the RIBA work stages, actually up until 5. And then we go and see some projects that my practice is doing. And again, as a provocation, I would say here we have a rule that all the staff, with the one exception of the head of research, the dissertation tutor, has to be a practicing architect or designer. And so everyone that you're taught by in studio is currently building buildings or has built a building. And I think that makes that component easier to deliver within the framework of master's course, because even if you're not actually on site and dealing with the contract stuff, which you can't be, right? As part of the future practice course, you will go and see a building that I'm working on, everyone in the second year. Can you see the financial information, the client's records, that kind of stuff? No, because it's protected for a number of different reasons. But we can get you as close to it as possible. When I studied in the UK, I don't think I went on a building site until I was post-registration, actually. So that is a difficult bit to teach. But I think if we start having a cohort of teachers, professors that are made up of people that do actually act in construction, or whichever scale, I think it would improve on these figures. And I'm not seeking to dent the reputations of tutors who are not architects who don't practice. But I think the balance in architecture schools has gone kind of to the extreme in one way. And you're beginning to see that corrected in newer schools like this. Not really a question, but I got to say my piece. Thank you.
That's a question.
Yeah, of course.
I'd like to ask a very small and very quick question, and I want a one-line response from every student. What is it that you want to get out of the studio course during the masters? It's as simple as that.
It's my third time.
And Daniel as well, I'd like to know. Do you want to go the off week? You can start with it.
Yeah, I talked to, you know what, I'm just gonna get the I think I mostly just want to like not rush. My previous degrees have been like no research. Just day one, you're given a site, and then you have to like bend over backwards and somehow make a building and fight for your life for it. So what I'm appreciating in the studio is that I'm actually thinking about it, and it seems as though decisions are being made and thinking more so in the long run, as opposed to desperation making extrusions on Rhino.
I don't know if I have like a one-word response for this. I think I have several things that kind of come to mind. I think one of the big reasons why I joined the program was because it's in person, and the last program I was a part of, it was significantly online, and I was paying the same price for everything, and it seemed a little bizarre to me that was the case. I also love the 1-to-1 ratio. There's something really special about that, and the fact that everything is kind of curated around your interests really drew me to the program. But as far as like what I want to get out of it, I think I do come from a different background, and I have gained some experience in the field, but there are certainly gaps. And I think that's something that I'm kind of seeking, is gaining more confidence in my ability to be successful outside of the program, and I guess to, yeah, just figure out what those gaps are. And I don't know if that's something that I can like fully have the program fill, because I know a lot of it also comes with just learning as you go, and no program is ever going to be able to provide every single little thing. But I think just gaining a bit more confidence in that regard.
You have.
Oh, I'll answer first. Okay. Well,
One sentence we go.
well, no way. No way.
I need the most important. That's all I'm caring. That's all I care about.
The most important for me is that my tutors push me to my interests that I don't even know unconditionally, because if you push me to my interests conditionally, you're gonna specialize me in a way. So I trust you guys. So I know you're pushing me in my right path, you can say. But yeah, that's what I want from the studio. That's what I feel. Do you want to go or next?
I think I have a short answer. It's enhancing my critical thinking and problem solving abilities. Basically, that's it. And just, yeah, what Miguel said, and consciously being pushed to what I want. You guys should know. Why would I know?
Why you guys just bastard?
Oh, great. Okay. So for me, I think it's actually pretty much a one-liner. But it's cultivation of my thought process as a designer and how I perceive the world. And I feel like the school helps me do exactly that. And it makes me very confident as a designer and becoming an architect, that how I feel like the world is supposed to be and like how people need to see everything is like okay, like it's accepted. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to word this properly, but I think there's a really nice balance here between like freedom of expression and how that's encouraged, and then also anchoring it in some sort of structure. My only work experience in architecture is mostly landscape architecture, and I'm coming from like very, maybe not traditional, but very kind of, yeah, I would say traditional landscape practice, where it's like a lot of native plants, and it's basically the same formula in different iterations for each project. So to be in a space where the limits don't exist, but there's still structure, I think is, it's teaching me something that I don't think I could find anywhere else, and it's still forming. But I think it's pushing me towards a clarity that I wouldn't have otherwise, that I'd be really boxed into something. So, yeah. Back to Koi.
Back to Koi.
Oh my gosh, I missed it.
Well, it's nothing to do with school, actually.
Yeah.
It's about what you want.
No, it's just because like a lot of things in my mind. I don't know how to start actually. Okay, but okay, I'm gonna talk about the thing that I concern the most is like, okay, for me, the studio course is more or less like teach you how to talk about architecture rather than doing architecture, by the way. And that's why, like, beside the studio course, I prefer something like more practical, but which is like Henry already decided the course called like future practice or something like that. Yeah, but the point is because like we all know that what we're gonna do for the future practice project is the project not gonna be built, by the way, and the feeling that when you do the project is completely different with the actual practice. And this is a kind of thing that I feel like missing during my education. I don't know how can I explain it like perfectly, but yeah, you want to say something?
Well, microphone. Yeah, sure. You'll find that I'm getting into this as if like how moral. So we were thinking about next year. Agnes and I were thinking next year. She said, I really would like to do like a live project where everyone in the school decamps somewhere and we spend a period of time actually designing together and constructing something. However, in which course, so the question is, in which course should this sit? Should it be in one of the studios, so one studio has this live build, or is it the future practice project? In which case, okay. The issue then is the way that, and I'll take my opportunity to just have a pop at them, the way that the regulators structure what needs to go into the future practice course, because it requires knowledge of accessibility, fire regulations, contracts, the kind of things that a university live build project doesn't actually engage with or can't engage with because it's still within certain kind of, it's a little bit like when you go bowling and you have the rails up, you know. And so I would still argue that that kind of project remains irreal in a way. And I'm not sure whether it's possible to get to what you want to do, which is the like vulnerability of it being a project you sign in your own name, even if we do a construction project, leading me to think that this is something to be dealt with in professional experience, which happens either before or after. But that's a question. And I'm going to hand it back to you.
I mean, like, it's not necessarily like the project gonna be signed by our name or something like that, but it's just like the experience that like, okay, you really do the design work and you see how it's gonna be built and how it's gonna be like to be like real in reality, you know. It's not necessarily like something that, okay, it's just like on the paper and yeah, you have to sign it or something like that. It's just like the feeling that, okay, you decide it and you see it's like in 1-to-1 scale or something. Yeah.
I will reflect on this, thank you.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. I think the reason why I'm so quiet is because I think I'm still digesting what Henry asked earlier, which is, should architecture schools specialize? And I think for me, I don't really believe in it being one or the other. I think it can be both. It's nice to have like the option of, you know, if I want to do this. I think, Jojo, you spoke a little bit about it. It's like you don't really know what you can be because you don't know what's out there, what the possibilities are. So I think it's nice to be in an environment where there's like all of these different niche things that you can become. And I think that's currently what I've struggled with in my architectural career, is just not knowing what to do because I don't know what I can do, if that makes sense. And I think that what I'm looking for at the moment is clarity, because what happens if you're a student who is in architecture, is interested in architecture, but doesn't really believe in building? You know, it's a difficult place to be in an architectural school. And I think that's why I've been just like trying to figure that out, you know? So I think if I can, by the time I graduate, have some kind of like clarity of what I can become without being an architect who is building things, then that will be great. But I think this is always obviously changing and evolving, which makes it really difficult. And I think that this is something that a lot of people in practice and architecture suffer from, is that they're always trying to like, it's never like a single thing, you know? Yeah, so I think it's nice to have all the options and know what you can and then choose from that, you know? Because I think that maybe if I knew I had this, like I had all these options before, maybe I would have gotten to that clarity much earlier in my career. But yeah, I think I've answered the question. Yeah.
Would you like to mic that?
I just wanted to say that, like, about the studio thing. The one thing that I got from all the studios I've done in my bachelor's and then in my master's was to like expand the limits of what you can do to the extreme, because like you'll never really get the chance to do that in the real world. But that does come with this like negative side of when you do get into the real world and you're working, like how do you necessarily know exactly what it is? So I think that's why like the professional practice is quite important. Yeah, I think it would be like really cool to add the real life building course. I think that would be like my undergraduate did this. They would do like 6 weeks trips, 6 weeks. And granted, it wasn't like an insane build, but it was just like. I was just wondering. Oh, sorry.
Microphone.
Oh,
This is like kind of side note, but I wonder if that could be like an introduction kind of project next year, but that's only a few weeks. Or how long the physical building part would need to take.
I feel like we've hijacked your lecture. Let's talk about our first project. The thing is, and to take it back to the slide that we're currently looking at, to pick up one of the issues with architectural education is that if you look at this list of things that people want from it, actually the studio subjects, so the RIBA and the ARB, say at least 50, depending on which metric you use, either 50 or 60% of the coursework needs to be project-based, design studio projects. So the design studio either needs to become more technical, or what some schools call professional practice, what some call future practice, that ends up mopping up, and I use this like slightly undesirable expression, almost all of these things. So you end up with a course that's worth 15 credits in the second year, which is 1/8 of the entire number of credits in a master's degree, that deals with all of these components. In order to allow the studio project to be this thing where you're dealing with sociology and urbanism and research in a certain level of depth, and then the architectural resolution of this thing. The issue then with a live build project that occupies that 15 credits is that is still ideally one entire half semester, or in our system, one entire term. So it would mean that we take everyone out of the school for 12 weeks and we do a design build collectively and we pause every other subject. That's the only way it would work with the number of credits currently assigned to that module, which we could do if everyone was up for it. Have a think.
Can I ask Daniel a question?
Yeah.
This is a two-pronged question. The first is to you. Was there a question in the survey asking, do you want to be an architect?
It was not like direct. You do want to be an architect.
Yeah.
But there was some I think it was. Oh my gosh, probably because now I got stressed. I will not sit, but there was some answers like. Thank you. Probably I will not find it right now because now I get a bit stressed. But there was some answers like I think like when I mentioned before, like they made the Bachelor of Architecture, now they're making design, or there was some answers maybe I didn't put it like I just want to finish this and do like there was the one answer. I just want to finish this and do what I enjoy. There was one answer like that, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the survey is I think a lot of it is read through the lens of if you're coming to architecture school to be an architect. And I think that there's the second prong of the two-pronged question is a hands-up question for the students. Who here wants to be an architect and is 100% sure that they want to be an architect? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I don't know if that plays. I don't know if you read that in the feedback. If there's this like adjustment to, because the quantitative data is read through the lens of becoming an architect. Obviously, in the qualitative data, that is maybe more nuanced. So I was wondering if you had an impression that, because there's a huge percentage of people who go to architecture school. When I went to school, I thought I wanted to be an architect. And then I went through school and then I was like, I'm not sure that's the one, actually. I'm getting a bit too, but I'm wondering if you read it in
Right.
the qualitative.
Yeah, I understand, and I think I missed the opportunity, because that would be a very nice question. Like, to make that one question, like when you picked the architecture study, you wanted to be an architect or not? And for example, to add the second question, like now when you finish like in the first part, like the bachelor, and second the master, if you still want to be an architect, I should like put it. I didn't think about this, but I think that will be so interesting, because I can hear from a lot of my friends from my uni, but also we are the big school, so I think there will be the big difference between the small school when there are like 15 of you and the school when like we have like 250 students in 1 year. So of course, like when you have more people, it will be different. But I can hear a lot of from my students from my year, like they want to finish the study because they don't want to waste the years they spend it, but they are sure they are not going to be an architect.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. It's nothing wrong about this, because they can be in design and can be in digital, so on. For example, my uni, I have to say I'm so proud of my uni, because after my bachelor in architecture, I can make the master of engineering for now, automatically, or the master from the monument renovation. That's how big amount of knowledge I have in my uni, and that's why we don't sleep at all. But that's a very wide spectrum. That's what I said. Because about this, when there was a question, if I can also like answer, like if the master is supposed to be like specified or not. So maybe like for the first, like I think in my like private opinion, the bachelor is supposed to be individual work, because we have to have the foundation, and the master is supposed to be more group work and more like go with the flow. The bachelor, in my opinion, is supposed to be for getting the knowledge, and the master for using the knowledge. And I think that the beauty is that in every country it looks different, and we can make exchanges. Because if my uni is strict on one topic, for example, I don't know, wooden architecture, I can do Erasmus in somebody who's making totally different thing. So I can have the spectrum. Or for example, my university deal with that. We have the main studio is general. So if there's 250 students, we have the main studio for around 80 students, and it's like the general architecture. And then we have a lot of little studies for 15, 25, 30, and they are specified. For example, for the monumental renovation, for the engineering, and so on and on. For example, now my master level, I'm on the public building design, and we got also like the sport facilities or the industrial architecture. So I think the beauty is to give me the opportunity, because some of the students, in my opinion, would like to do general architecture master, to just go with the flow and test it themselves and like be like the fish in the water with the architecture. Like, oh, now I possess the knowledge from the bachelor, I want to try myself. And some of them will be like, okay, but I'm very interesting about, like said before, so I will stay with the wooden architecture, and I want to like be specialist in that. That's my niche. I want to deal with it, so on. So I think the beauty is that the diversity with the universities, they have different point of views, because if all around the world it would be same, it would be pointless. That's why I said like at the beginning, I'm so happy you travel, because that learns a lot. Because if you are in the very specified, for example, studio here, you can go to exchange for the very general one, so you will see how it tastes. Or if you have in big university different varieties of the studios, you can try this or try this. For example, my friends is like, I don't like sport at all, but I want to try. So for this semester, they picked the studio of the sports facilities. Because why not? So that's also the fun thing, like to get out of the box and try different things, like do some workshops, get something around, like to try to deal with this. I hope I answered for the question. Yeah.
Can I ask you another?
Oh my god,
Thank you very much.
Around to me.
Well, I'm interested. I hope I don't put you on the spot too much here. As part of our role as the RIBA Europe committee, you and I and others who were elected, whenever it was, this year, I think, have discussions about how to further architecture in the Europe region. And I'm interested to know how your review of the feedback that you've received shapes the things that you would like to do with your remaining 2.5 years as the student representative, and what programs or exchanges or other concepts that you're interested to develop in your role as the student representative for RIBA Europe.
Right. So, I already got 3 projects in my mind, and I'm working on one for now. It's for validated universities, of course, because that's like my point of work. So, the first project I'm already working on, and it will take a part for the first edition in March 2026. It's RIBA Week. It's the whole week for the students from all of the validated universities. They're going to be shared on the screen, like online, with other universities, and they will be able to talk with each other, to ask the questions, like to see how the other universities are teaching. They will like present the posters, like what is the specification of your own university, how it works, how it's doing, and so on. There are also going to be like the local day little conferences for the local country, the studios, the companies, and so on, to came for the university, because I really would like to move the students maybe sometimes out of their comfort zones, but to also like try to push them, like you can catch the opportunities, and to show them like you can really do this, you just have to want. That's like the thing, because sometimes when you're like or maybe not overthinking, but when you have too much things to do and you want to be master in everything, you cannot. It's impossible. You have to pick the fields you want to be focused, and the rest you have to pass, because you have to pass everything. But be focused on this, what you really, really want. And this what